we're doing our first 24-hour readathon.
Let's do it. So we're officially into this challenge. I decided to kick off with Dark Matter. I have had this book on my TBR for so long. Everyone recommends it and I absolutely see why. I am plowing through. I think I'm only 50 minutes in. I am already 55 pages in, which is genuinely so much faster than I normally read. Great start. Essentially, if you know nothing about this book, we're following Jason Dresden. We start off in his family home. We find out he's a professor in quantum mechanics. That's important, I think. We're kind of like finding out he's a family man, and we're kind of meeting him and his wife and his kid. And we kind of get the sense that by having a kid and having a family, he kind of gave up his dream of being kind of a world-renowned physicist. And so we kind of kick off with that. He goes to the bar where his college roommate is celebrating a really successful paper. And so he's kind of living out this dream life that the main character Jason thought he would have. Anyway, then really suddenly he's abducted by this guy at gunpoint. He gets taken to this random place and then he wakes up in a lab. And all these people are like, welcome back. You've been gone 14 months. And he's sitting there being like, you've got the wrong guy. Like, I'm pretty sure you guys have done some kind of experiment. It's gone wrong. I'm the wrong guy. And so that's where I'm up to. We're 50 pages in. This is all on the back, by the way. I'm going to read here for a little bit longer and then I'm probably going to go to the cafe to keep reading because I just feel like that's the vibe right now. So far, excellent. Oh, and the writing style, chef's kiss. It's giving 5-star tingles. I don't want to jump ahead because I might be wrong, but it's giving at least a 4+ already off the bat. It's so well written and the vibes and just the concept. I love quantum anything. Give me sci-fi with quantum anything and I'll read it. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to it. The descriptions in this are truly beautiful. Just everything he describes. Building, blank out for a slight spoiler, is a 5-story, nondescript, utterly forgettable piece of architectural mediocrity, and people are streaming out of the entrance like a kicked hornet's nest. Like, come on, that is nice. It's just pretty, you know, to read. So what I'm finding very fascinating about this book is even though this guy is a university level physicist and he was on this path to become this like very prestigious physicist back in the day, quite a smart dude, essentially. The way he's reacting to what's happening to him is so very normal. It's very easy to connect to his character because everything that he's doing, you're like, oh yeah, of course, if I woke up in a lab unsure what the hell was happening, like you would try to get out. You would try to escape. You would probably want to go home and, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go into all the details, but essentially, like, everything he's doing makes total sense. And so I think when I'm reading it, it's like, oh wow, like this could be me. Anyway, I'm just loving the narration stuff. It's great. Okay, so the book is going incredibly well. I am powering through. I'm stopping the timer each time I'm stopping reading, which I don't know if I can continue to do, otherwise I might not get through the time. But that's what I've been doing so far, which is kind of interesting to see how long I'm actually reading for. So I might keep that up. I want to get out of the house, I'm going to go to the cafe. On the walk over, I am going to try and listen to the audiobook. I've been trialing out BookBeat for my audiobooks. Basically why I'm trying it is sometimes I don't want to listen to the entire thing there. I might want to read and listen for just like a section. Like right now I'm gonna read the physical book, but I just need like a break for an hour or half an hour while I walk to the cafe. That's mostly where I use a lot of my reading time for audio based listening for like walks and stuff like that. So I've been testing it out. I think it's a European based app, but there seems to be a large database of English narrated books as well, which is great. I think I've already saved like 45 books on there. So there's enough to keep me going. But anyway, Dark Matter is on there. I am gonna put this on my headphones and then we're gonna go to the cafe and keep reading there. So I just got back from the cafe. I got 50 pages left to go. It's been a wild ride. We're currently at 18 and a half hours to go. This book has been exceptional. The depth that we go into in the multiverse is insane. Love a good multiverse book, and I must say this is probably one of the best ones I've read thus far. But it's all in the ending, isn't it? So we're gonna sit down and finish off the last little bit, and then we're about halfway through the reading for today. It's getting weirder and weirder. I didn't think that would be possible, but it is. I did not see that coming. So that's one wrapped. We are at 17 hours to go of the 24 hours. That was excellent. The first half of the book, like, I could anticipate quite a lot. You could relate to the character and the choices he made, but then it started getting really weird, but like in the best way. Sci-fi, multiple universes. Pick this bad boy up. Next book, I have a few different choices. We have Ryan McFarlane. I think I'm going to save these for tomorrow. I feel like I'm not quite ready to get into a romance. And then I also have this one, which I could just like have a shorty for this evening. Could be good. But I also maybe want to save that for tomorrow. Decisions. No, okay. So what I'm actually going to read next is, I'm actually not even sure if I'm going to read this, but I have wanted to read The Crimson Moth, which in the US, the first book is titled Heartless Hunter. But they're the same book, just so you know. And so I haven't read it, but I've heard really good things. So I think I might start with that sample. I know it's about witches, and that's about it. So last night I kept reading The Crimson Moth sample, but I got to the end of the sample and I just wasn't feeling it. But I don't know if it's about the book, because I then went on to read like 3 other samples. I kid you not, for like 3 hours I read like 4 different samples. So that was fun. Crimson Moth, I don't know. It honestly just felt, I had read a little bit of Serpent and Dove and it was feeling pretty much the same. And then I'd been hearing things about the Book of Azrael, so I picked that up for a little bit. That kind of sounds interesting, but I don't own it, so I wasn't going to purchase that one yet. And then another one I had on my TBR was Dungeon Crawler Carl, which I started last night. And it's definitely not my typical book, but it's very funny. I've essentially kind of stuck with that now. I think I woke up this morning with 14 or so, 15 hours maybe. So I read a little bit more this morning. Now we're at 13 hours and 40 minutes to go. I have continued on with Dungeon Crawler Carl. This is a bit of a sci-fi. Essentially, his girlfriend's broken up with him. He's kind of left with the custody of this cat called Princess Donut. Anyway, in the middle of the night, the cat jumps out the window and he goes outside to go get her out of the tree, and all of a sudden every building around him essentially squashes. Kind of like, he describes it like a can being squashed by a giant foot. All of the buildings, all gone. And then kind of this alien intercom kind of comes on and basically says, hey, we've taken your resources from Earth, and if you would like the chance to win them back, you can enter the dungeon, which is going to be this dungeon game where you can go down all the levels, and if you can make it to level 18, you can win back the resources of your Earth. We are then following Carl and Princess Donut as they navigate this dungeon, and it's kind of like a game. I think honestly the biggest disconnect for me while reading this is the gaming part, because I'm not a big gamer. It's kind of fun, but it kind of sometimes goes a bit too much into detail. But overall, almost very Douglas Adams-esque, kind of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy style funny. So, I'm having a good time. I'm 20% in now, and I think I'm just going to keep going with that. I definitely feel like I should have chosen my books ahead of time to make it a little easier. And I also just think maybe because I started with such a strong book, now I'm kind of in that book hangover. So don't choose the book that you think that you will have the most success with first. 24-hour challenge apparently. And so I think for today we're just gonna read for most of the day and try and just read as much as possible. I think that's the goal, because otherwise we'll be here all week. Okay, so we're about 11 hours to go. I am about 45% through this. Jake is making coffees, so I will have some sustenance to keep this challenge going. That's fine. You're making coffee, I can't be mad. You're a gamer. This is probably very geared toward you. I don't game, so I think there's a little bit of a disconnect there. It's fun, loses me a little bit, but whenever we meet new characters, I get a little more hooked because all of the different people that we're meeting are really interesting. So that's kind of keeping me in for right now. Let's get caffeinated and keep going. Okay, so a little update. I just got back from a walk. I read for another few hours. I'm still only 55% through. I've chosen some beefy books for this challenge. I'm also just a slow reader, so there is that, but I'm also a distracted reader who is working on their attention span. This is a little out of my comfort zone. The tagline is, "The apocalypse will be televised," so it's literally an apocalypse. But it doesn't feel very apocalyptic, it just feels very gamey. It almost feels like a sci-fi cozy read is the best way I can describe it. The way that people love a cozy fantasy. This is like a cozy sci-fi. So do with that what you may. I am having a good time. I am obsessed with this cat. That cat is the character development. So good. Love. Look, plan for tonight. So I've got 9 hours and 40 minutes on the clock. I have probably another 3 and a bit hours. And then I think I might do what you probably shouldn't do in a readathon challenge, which is I'm going to pick up a monster of a book to finish, but there's no possible way I could finish it in the challenge. Of all the books that I read samples of, the Book of Azrael really stuck with me, and I can't stop thinking about it. And I'm definitely craving an urban fantasy. And I was originally thinking of reading John Green, which is a super short, quick book that I definitely could finish in this challenge. But I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I'm committing a 24-hour readathon cardinal sin. We'll see. I'm going to get through this book first, and then we'll see. I'm 60% through now. Level 1 was insane. They've come up against different hilarious style of bosses, kind of like you would in a typical game. They've just gone down to level 2. It's really interesting because we're now uncovering little pieces of the puzzle have been filled in about the corporation that is sponsoring the show of the apocalypse, and things are seeming like maybe they're not going that well behind the scenes. There seems to be something else going on, so that's been really interesting. Anyway, I'm gonna take a break for a little bit. We're gonna have dinner. We're gonna have pizza, It's gonna be great, and then I'll come back. This is gonna be a 3-day challenge, I think. Oh, goodness me. I think next time I'm just gonna have to do start to finish 12 hours, whatever happens, and it happens. Alright guys, good morning. It is day 3 of the never-ending book challenge. This morning I woke up and I cannot even believe it, but I think I've caught a cold or there's something going on. I don't feel good. So there's that. I still have 8 hours to go. The plan is I feel rotten and I know that if I lay on that couch for the rest of the day, I'm gonna feel worse. So I'm gonna go for a walk. Fresh air might do me some good. I don't have the audiobook for Dungeon Crawler Carl though. We're gonna have to swap gears. I have like 2 hours to go on Dungeon Crawler. So I'll bench that one and I'll finish that this evening. But I do have the audiobook on Spotify for Book of Azrael. So I might do that. We're following this chick Diana who seems to be working for this guy like underworld kind of dude. We're just gonna read what it says because I'm gonna get it wrong. Many centuries ago, desperate to save her dying sister Diana made a deal with Caden, a monster far worse than any nightmare. Locked in servitude to him, she is forced to hunt down an ancient relic held by her most dangerous enemies. That's kind of where I'm up to so far. We're seeing her dynamic with Caden. In the beginning chapter, we kind of meet Caden, who is having a gathering with, like, there are changelings, there's vampires, there are werewolves, like the whole shebang are there. That's kind of the vibes, and we've talked about celestials and gods. So I think we're kind of talking with the gamut of fantasy, like any kind of fantastical beast that you could think of, I think we're gonna see, which is kind of fun and definitely the vibes that I was after. I'm gonna go get outside in some sun, tackle some more of these 8 hours. Okay, we're getting close. 4.5 hours to go. So on my walk I was listening to Book of Azrael. It is pretty big world building in the first 15%. So I've just kind of started to get the sense of what's going on. But I'm not going to talk about that yet because I feel like I want to read more before I talk about it. Since I got back, I have dived back into Dungeon Crawler Carl. Still got 2 hours to go. So I'm going to get back into reading that. And then I'm probably just gonna keep reading tonight, finish this, and I lose the ability to use words in the evening, so I'm probably gonna just read and come back tomorrow with a final verdict. Hopefully I will have gotten through the last 4 hours. So there's like an AI that is constantly giving them updates on the progress and how everyone's going and any rules that might show up. In one of the announcements, it kind of shouted over the intercom, people need to stop peeing in the hallways because the toilets were clogged or something. They were like, we fixed the toilets, please don't do it. And if you do use the hallways, there'll be like a monster that'll be brought up from level 7 or something. I'm traveling with an older guy who just like fully whips it out and just starts peeing on a wall. Safe to say, it's going well. So that was like the first kind of sweet and sad moment. Okay, by some miracle, I got done the 24-hour challenge. I kept reading Dungeon Crawler until I think I had like 2 hours left on the clock. And then I just put on the audiobook listening to Book of Azrael. And the timer went off. I am like at 34%. We didn't make a huge dent, but I'm pretty sure it's a 700-page book. We will give myself some grace for that. Wrapping up Dungeon Crawler Carl, I truly stand by what I said, a cozy sci-fi. Okay, so I looked it up and apparently cozy sci-fi is a thing. It says, cozy sci-fi books prioritize levity and emotional resonance. Stakes in a cozy sci-fi tend to be personal rather than galactic. And I would say that that's probably true. And just the way it unwound at the very end was just very like, there wasn't anything crazy big that happened. It was just more like they were getting ready to go down to the next level. And we opened up all these questions to be like, what if, what if, what if, what if, I wonder, I wonder, I wonder. And so now I'm like, I could keep reading. Definitely could see myself picking these up again, continuing with the series. I just wanted a cozy, chill reading experience, and we just got introduced to a really fun character that was like this little dinosaur chicken thing, and I just picture like, oh, we get to see how he grows and evolves. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like chill stakes, but still like sci-fi and fun, and we get to deal with aliens and all the different randomness that involves. So that was a really good time. On to Book of Azrael. I feel like about 35% in, we're starting to get a good sense of the story. I understand the characters. I have a better, like, we've got the Igmorathin and the gods and the celestials. They're kind of against one another. We're kind of getting a sense of that. But honestly, it's a lot of world building in the first little bit, and I just feel like I've started to get into it, which is a good sign. When you're starting like a fantasy series, you want there to be a good amount of building so that you get a deeper sense of the world. So I don't think I can comment too much more on that. I'm very excited to keep going with it. That was a very interesting take of a 24-hour reading challenge. I'm gonna have to try this again because I don't know if we did that right. I think next time I'm definitely gonna try and commit to a 24-hour period rather than just 24 hours because that was a long time. For now.